what's the source of anger? Why do people get angry? Why do people get upset and hostile about things? If you look at the source of where it's coming from, it's like, on what basis? What's causing the irritation? And why are you being irritated? It's like it comes out of the blue. It comes from nowhere, it seems like. It's like you'll be on one track doing something that's unrelated to anything else, and all of a sudden a sense and feeling of anger and hatred comes over your body, over your mind, and over your whatever else is part of you, your essence. And it's almost like it just comes from nowhere, like it's what do they call it? What does the Apostle Paul call it in the book of Ephesians? He calls it a fiery dart. A fiery dart from the evil one. Comes out of nowhere. I don't know if everything can be attributed to Satan or the devil or Lucifer. Those are his three names. The dragon. But the fallen angel. It says that we're supposed to take up the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit. And we're supposed to have put on our feet the righteousness, or put on a breastplate of righteousness, and then the gospel of peace for our footwear. And we're supposed to protect our whole bodies from this artillery that's from the dark, that's from evil, from hell, from spirits of darkness, from what's the other term for host of wickedness in heavenly wicked places. There is supposedly the apostles, those who were appointed by Jesus himself, and even the Old Testament prophets that were called of God. They wrote about these entities that supposedly exist that try to influence men to think a certain way, to behave a certain way, to act a certain way. Even though mankind is already in a fallen state, a sinful state, because of the original disobedience after man was created. He chose not to obey God, because God gave man a free will. But there's an added influence besides just the self. There's outside influences, not just inward influences. And both, when joined together, is quite powerful. That's why the Apostle Paul says you have to do everything you can to resist the devil. And supposedly the devil will flee. This dark force or dark entity will flee if he continues to bother you. You have to pray it up and read up of the scriptures, and you have to walk in the Spirit so you'll not fulfill the lust of the flesh. I believe that's in Galatians, another epistle of Paul. Walk in the Spirit and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And the lust of the flesh, man, I tell you what, if you don't put a bridle on it, or allow yourself to be ruled by the Holy Spirit, under a more powerful rule, which is God's Spirit, you can be overcome by these fleshly desires and these temptations of the devil. But you can avoid it. You can avoid it, and you can overcome it. You can endure it. You just have to have powerful help from the spiritual side, from the eternal side. Because there's a physical existence and there's an eternal existence, spiritual existence. And you have to be unified, like a cord, like a three-strand cord. So there's a triunity. There's always been a triunity: Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Egg, the yolk, shell, the white, water, H2O, existence, steam, ice, solid, and liquid. What else is three? There's so many examples of a triunity in just the physical world, in the natural world, because the natural usually has a spiritual counterpart. It's reflective of what's going on behind the scenes, the invisible. So what we see, the natural is often a reflection of the spiritual. You know, the wars, the conflicts, all that stuff is outward manifestations of a spiritual phenomenon. If you look at history, that's been the deal. Supposedly angels, God's good angels and the devil's bad angels, influence people into wars and conflicts and all this. You know, so that's another element that has to be considered when refusing or rebuking the devil. We're not supposed to rebuke the devil ourselves. We're supposed to actually put a wedge between us, between God and ourselves, or not between God and ourselves, but between the devil and ourselves. We're supposed to put a wedge, so that because we're not powerful enough in of ourselves to deal with the devil. The devil is a real powerful being, according to many ancient writings. Yeah, not just Christians and Catholics and Judaism, but even with the people of the Islamic community, they agree. The devil's powerful. The jinn is the demons, the spirits. The jinn, man, they try to create mayhem and disasters. They're supposed to avoid those.